So let me explain this. This fight started way back in the pre-constitution period. Okay, with Shirur Mutt from South Canada, of what is known as Karnataka today, and Chidambaram Temple, jointly challenging the 1927 HRC legislation of the then Madras Presidency. Okay, because notifications were issued for takeover of these institutions. Okay, and this was done so this was with respect to the 1927 notification. Subsequently, in 1950, our constitution comes into force. By 1951, a new legislation has come about, okay, which is the previous HRC legislation prior to the one which is currently in force, which came into existence in 1959. Okay, that legislation is challenged before the Supreme Court, and in that particular judgment, which is known as the famous Shirur Mutt judgment of the Supreme Court, the court categorically holds what are the metes and bounds and circumstances in which the state can step into the picture, but never to take over any institution. You can just take it over for very limited purposes to set the house in order and get out of the picture. Okay, that is when the saga began for this particular temple. But then comes the 1959 Act, which reproduces in sum and substance the very same provisions which were struck down by the Supreme Court in 1951. And under that legislation, executive officers are appointed one way or the other without any reason, and in most instances the Tamil Nadu government, regardless of who has been in power, has never given clear reasons as to why a particular temple needs to be taken over, which is among the first reasons required, or one of the first requirements under administrative law. So for instance, if it is a non-state private property and the state wants to step into the particular picture, it has to say, I am doing so under this power. I'm doing so because there is a specific circumstance that warrants it. I want to do so to achieve a particular end, and I will finish this in a certain time period. None of these things have ever been satisfied by the Tamil Nadu HRC government. Okay, all this litigation ultimately comes to a head, and on 6th of January 2014, in the judgment known as Subramania Swamy versus so-and-so, the Supreme Court comes out with a very clear verdict saying, this is a denominational institution. You cannot supersede or take over control in the name of setting the house in order. And this is what you've been doing. So please vacate the picture, get out of the picture. This happens in 2014. Please note, one of the things that the Supreme Court notes in the judgment is, you were supposed to come out with specific rules since 1959 to show what are the circumstances in which executive officers can be appointed. Can you guess when the rules actually were notified? November 2015, after the Supreme Court's verdict of 2014. Today, you're in 2023, and those who've been following what's been happening with the Chidambaram temple over the last 7 years will tell you, state governments have tried to, if I would say, extract revenge from this temple for having succeeded in the Supreme